Welcome back to my F1 25 My Team Career Mode. It still feels pretty damn awesome to be saying that after so long of having no My Team on the channel. We're back for part number 2 today. A massive thank you to all of you who have watched part number 1. The response to that was incredible, blew me away, and it's got me itching to dive in to the next part, and I'm sure all of you as well to watch it. So we're now here back at the career hub, of course, in between round 1 and round 2. Plenty to look at. We've got a message in the team owner area. Also, our fan rating went slightly up, I can see, but not a huge amount. But we've actually got a good email. Ignore the disappointing weekend one. I think that's a bit harsh to say it was disappointing just because we didn't get a point, but it seems like in-game they were expecting us to maybe perform at that sort of level. But we've got a great email about title sponsor loyalty. So our title sponsor, we have progressed in the loyalty already based off that first round performance. So we go to the corporate tab, go to title sponsor, we can see on the bottom the loyalty rewards. We've unlocked the second one, which is owner experience. So that is pertaining to the owner perks. So more owner experience you get, the more points you earn to then spend in the owner area. So that owner experience can come from the title sponsor as well as other areas. And so this is what I'm on about. If any of you have played EA FC, FIFA, and are familiar with how Pro Clubs works, this is a very similar system to my mind, where you're spending points basically on attributes you want. Instead of attributes for your player on the pitch, this is attributes for you as an organization, basically, you know, with things like the corporate personnel engineering perks you get of, you know, facilities, you know, bumping up on R&D and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it works with the owner training area, essentially. And then the fan rating, well, we are taking a look at this with interest, because not only can we see our fan rating in comparison to the other F1 teams, you can see it was a disappointing round 1 for Aston, Williams, Kick Sauber, but obviously we want to try and grow our fan rating as high as we can, because the higher fan rating we get, the more sponsors we can attract, more income we can attract, and obviously that flows back into then how much money we can spend on our facilities and then developing parts. So it all works together, it all ebbs and flows together. So there's not a single bit of this career hub that you can really ignore and just not concentrate on, because it all helps you develop your team, especially for me, starting with literally 0 on everything when we set up this this team of Aarava Archer Racing in F1 25. So we're going through now redeveloping an upgrade that failed. So our engine, minor engine power upgrade, failed on the development. The research happened, but you have to now research and then develop the part, and the development failed, so we have to redo that. So that's going to take a little bit longer, but I was very keen now, with over 2 million in my purse, to spend on facility upgrades. So I've purchased my first facility upgrade to improve the engineering department. It's the research expansion for the chassis side. So what that means is I can now do, once that comes in, 2 simultaneous research parts on the chassis side of things. So individually you have to purchase those areas for aero, for durability, for engine. So there's quite a lot of different hurdles and different purchases we're going to have to make in this career. You know, there's so many different things to buy. It really does set up this career and all of this management to be very long term, because like, look at this, the corporate tab, all the corporate upgrades cost so much, like 2 million just for a tiny percentage increase on sponsor stuff. So it really is going to be a case of that corporate, you know, the corporate upgrades, we probably won't look at purchasing those until like season, I don't know, end of season 2, season 3. So really, this is a lot of this management gameplay is going to be very long term in this series, which is great, you know, because these things take time in real life, of course, as well. So we're going through the activity timeline, just filling that out as best we can. I'm going to try and get as much as I can in terms of boosting resource points where I can with the corporate tab over here. Not much use on the owner side of things and engineering side quite yet.
Hey, Chief. We've got multiple parts out of research. Don't forget to develop them. We've got performance sitting on the table that we could be getting into the car.
So our head of engineering is very keen to make sure we're using all the upgrades, but the problem is, my main man, obviously we don't have many simultaneous, facilities. We have to eventually purchase perks that gets us not only simultaneous research, but then simultaneous development. So double over, you have to buy these perks, or facility upgrades, I should say. So it is going to take some time. It really is a very small, it really feels like chipping away at these upgrades as they trickle in. But this is what we've got going on right now. So we had the aerodynamics upgrade for Button last episode. We've got 2 new upgrades now for Button side of the garage on the chassis and the engine power. The chassis was a weight reduction upgrade. The rest of them were already there from, from supplier upgrades that can't be moved, you can see. And once you've used a part with a certain driver, it can't be moved over to the other car. And as I understand it, right now, at the start of the career, you can only do single development, so you have to prioritize one driver over the other, but naturally, eventually, that second driver, without you clicking anything, your team will develop that second part for him, and it will be assigned to him eventually, because I was personally a bit confused about that, but it seems like naturally, Tramnitz is going to get those upgrades that Button has got, because right now I'm assigning everything to JB because he's the higher rated driver. Last time out, because it was the entire series opener, I really wanted to drive as Jensen Button because it was a big moment bringing him back. Obviously, the entire branding of aarava Archer Racing is based off him and Brawn GP, but as a lot of you argued in the comments, there is a lot of convincing arguments of driving as our F3 driver icon, because JB is higher rated, so he could actually maybe perform better than obviously Tramnitz could as an AI, and so we could get both performing well if I'm driving as him, and eventually those upgrades will trickle down to his side of the garage. But thankfully, that first facility upgrade, our first ever facility upgrade, comes in. So we've unlocked simultaneous research on the chassis side of things. I've done that on the chassis because, in my mind, the My Team car historically, even now on F125, I feel, has always been very heavy. So I think it's going to be very useful to get the maximum amount of weight reduction upgrades on the car. Weight redistribution as well is probably quite underrated as an upgrade because that really helps mid-corner. But now this is what I'm on about. Here's a good example. Now on Tim's side of the car, you can see he's got the same fitted parts for aero and powertrain. JB has got the chassis upgrade because we haven't got a second one made yet. You can see now Tim has naturally obtained the 2 other upgrades that Jensen had earlier. We had one of them earlier for Australia, and now he had 2. Now Tim's got those 2, and JB will have a 3rd upgrade going into this next race. So naturally, it will happen. Obviously, ideally, eventually, I want to get it to a point where we can double upgrade, double develop parts as we go, so we have parity between our 2 drivers. But at the moment, we have to deal with just having priority 1 and then it trickling down.
Hey boss, what do you make of this?
And as we go on through the activity timeline, we've got a personnel facility kind of story event, I'm going to call it. Controversial comment. So our title sponsor CEO recently made a controversial statement about our partnership during an interview. Whilst we don't want to upset them, this could harm the team's reputation. How should we handle it? I'm going to say call them out, because I think letting it slide, like they said, could hurt the team's reputation. And that was a positive answer I gave, thankfully. On the top right, you can see, as we now slide into round 2 of the season. It's the Japanese Grand Prix. And going to the driver selection screen, I drove as Jensen, as I said, in the first episode, because I felt like it was only right we stepped into his shoes. Being the team is so linked to him as a personality and as a brand with Brawn GP. But as a lot of you guys argued quite rightly, driving as Tramnitz would actually be quite useful to boost his performance in terms of I'm driving as him, and then hopefully AI Jensen can perform well. So we're going to do just that in this episode. We're going to be driving for the first time as our young German F3 driver icon, Tim Tramnitz, and throughout the season, I'll be choosing races to drive as either Jensen or Tim as I see fit, because at the same time, even though the logic would be just continuing to drive as Tim. I want to be able to have some cool moments driving as Jensen as well in this season and in the entire series to come. So with that, let's now dive into qualifying at the Japanese GP.
A warm welcome, everybody, from a venue that has seen plenty of sensational laps over the years. Remember, Verstappen in 23, Vettel in 2019, some phenomenal pole laps. But whose will it be today?
That is indeed going to be an intrigue, Crofty, but not for us. We're going to be nowhere near pole position. And as we start our first flying lap driving as Tim Tramnitz, we're a little bit understeering to turn one, I can't lie, and immediately getting the sense that maybe Australia masked how bad this car maybe really is over one lap in terms of the downforce levels that we have at the moment. Because Australia, it's a park, it's a street circuit technically, you know, it's lower downforce, whereas Japan, it's a thoroughbred circuit, high-speed corners, there's nowhere to hide if you don't have that downforce, and it certainly felt like the car wasn't as planted and comfortable around Suzuka as it was off the bat around Albert Park. But saying that, I was getting into a bit of a groove then on the second flying lap as it's a little bit overcast here. There's actually some forecast for some rain into Q2 and Q3. Might even be raining at the end of Q1. So ideally trying to get in laps as early as we can, and we do improve significantly by just under 0.8 of a second on that second flyer. But that only gets us up to P18. So clearly there is more of a deficit for this AAR car compared to our rivals around us versus what was the case in Albert Park, where, as I said, I think that circuit definitely suited our car a lot more. But as we start our third lap, I really wanted to try and see if we could find some more time, but you can clearly see the clouds have come through. It's a lot darker and you can't see it yet, but it is starting to rain. And I just completely understeer at turn one. Already half a second lost, the rear end's gone, and you can just about spot the rain now falling, and it's a bit too late for me to realise that it is fully raining now as we have a little trip into the gravel. But that is my qualifying over. The rain started to fall and no one else is going to improve their lap time. So it's maybe a crash back down to reality compared to the opening round, which sometimes happens a lot. I mean, just take real life. Kick Sauber scoring points in Australia IRL 2025 and then, immediately crashing back down to reality in the next round. It's the same for us with P18. Jensen, I mean, his AI, he's over, 85 rated? I think he's 89 rated, and he's only come 21st place. So that is, I can't lie, a little bit disappointing from him. But also at the same time, there are disappointments in Q1's knockout anyway. Carlos Sainz, stone dead last. Hadjar and the V-Carb, he'll be upset. And Bortoletto, he's gone from making Q3 in Australia to being knocked out in Q1. So it's not just me that has suffered a bit of a backward step in qualifying compared to Australia. So, and you're seeing also at the top end, there are some really good results for some other cars and drivers. So it seems like just like in Australia and like in real life, qualifying, it's very topsy-turvy in a very exciting way where there are going to be some upsets every single episode, I'm hoping. And obviously for this time around didn't work out for us, but maybe other times it will work out for us like it maybe did in Australia. So let's not get too downbeat. From 18th place, hopefully we can still do some good work, but we're just going and taking it race by race, hoping to see maybe the upgrades working a little bit better for JB maybe in the race. Let's go to Sunday.
Suzuka in the springtime where the cherry blossom is in full bloom. But who's blooming out on our track and who's flourishing on this wonderful day at this magnificent track? Welcome along to Suzuka and the Japanese Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he'll start from pole position. And Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Piastri, Leclerc, Yuki Tsunoda and Hamilton, Russell, Antonelli, Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly, Ocon, Lawson, Alex Albon, Doohan, Hulkenberg, Behrman, Gabriel Bortoletto, and Tim Tramnitz. Stroll, Hadjar, Button, and Carlos Sainz will start from the back of the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And alongside me in the commentary box, my old friend, Anthony Davidson. Now, we had great fun watching them win last time out. What a great victory it was. But can they carry that into today's race?
It's the important one, isn't it, Crofty? You've done it once, can you do it again? But, you know, if you start believing in yourself and the confidence starts to build, that inner confidence is what you need. And you can carry that through to future races, including this one, and you set that ball rolling. That's the critical thing that they're looking for here. And I believe if you've got that first race win or a win at any stage, it can start to roll with you in a good way.
So clearly, I think the rain-affected Q3 helped out Verstappen and Red Bull get on pole position. It was pole last time out for the McLaren, but Verstappen managed to overturn them. And obviously, McLaren had that horrendous strategy in Australia. So let's see if McLaren can actually use their #1 R&D car, our car pace this time around. For us, from P18, we're starting on mediums. The strategy is a two-stop either way. My engineer was telling me on the screen, either just a more aggressive two-stop with a soft and 2 mediums, or you go 2 mediums and a hard. I reckon we could do a bit of the opposite. So I've started on mediums, and I'm trying to plan for a medium, soft. I reckon at the end, with lower fuel, we could have some fun on the soft compound of tyre. But Japan, I think we can avoid the hards. I think we can pull it off. But I've left myself open, again, like in Australia, by starting on mediums. Just allows us to pivot a little bit. And, you know, when we're a team, as we are right now, where we have to be very open to anything because we know the car doesn't have out-and-out pace. This is the best option, I think, is always basically leaving ourselves open to choose what to do in the middle of the race. But here we are then, our first outing driving as our F3 driver, Tim Tramnitz, as we go to 5 red lights for the Japanese Grand Prix. Lights out, and we're underway. It's a good getaway versus the 2 Saubers on the hard compound of tyre. A lot of movement going on ahead as it's nearly 4 wide. Lawson, Antonelli all quite close together, doing on the inside of Behrman. I think Albon there going a little bit wide and off circuit even. Great to see the AI making a couple of mistakes into turn 1 as we look to book in the overtake on Hulkenberg as he's still snapping at the rear. Look behind, we've got the move in. Oh, Doohan loses the back end. It's another AI mistake. That was awesome to see. Doohan just getting a bit of opposite lock on the hard compound, obviously struggling to heat up that compound maybe, and we get one more free position for P15. It's a decent start. JB up 1 position, I think that is, up to P20. So let's see how he goes on through once everyone settles into a rhythm. Speaking of, we dive down the inside of Ollie Behrman. I'm not going to lie, put my hands up. I wasn't planning that overtake. I just ended up being on the inside of him at the hairpin. So caught him napping a little bit as we go side by side now, jockeying for position. We had plenty of scrapping with Behrman in Australia driving as Button. Now it's our turn on the other side with Tramnitz, but he's got the better of us into the spoon curves. We just didn't have the confidence under brakes to get that on the inside, the heavier fuel loads. I just want to, until I fully get to grips with the car, it's going to take a couple of episodes to fully understand where the grip levels are, the limit of the car. I'm just taking it easy on the opening laps because I just don't want like a big mistake, a bit of damage early on, and it's all about just easing in. And the logic is, as the laps come, we'll get comfier and comfier and be able to take the fight to these cars ahead of us maybe, as Behrman leaves a little bit of room on the outside. We go the long way round at the same place. We were too timid last time. We have the confidence now on lap 2 to make the overtake. Bit of battery use to drain it through to make that move, and we're up to P14 now as there's a move going on ahead of us between Lawson and Ocon. Another great little AI on AI scrap. Good to see through 130R as well, which is very, very good because a lot of times they like to back out quite a fair bit at 130R, but good to see commitment there from Lawson's AI, and he's got the overtake done, and so does Max Verstappen. So an RB overtakes a Haas down the order, and the other Red Bull overtakes the McLaren at the sharp end. So Lando is actually in the lead then, off second place. So yeah, he actually did very well in the opening laps. to overtake Verstappen from pole, but Verstappen's got the bit between his teeth and got it right back from him only 2 laps later, as we now focus on Jenson Button down in 20th at the moment, having qualified 21st, making an overtake on Bortoletto with DRS aided up to P19, and I'm really hoping this could be the start of him pushing on with some clean air, but he's chosen the soft compound, so it's not something I would choose. Like, if I was driving as him, I would have gone with a medium again. I really hope maybe in the future they think about adding in this game the option, since you're playing as the team owner, managing the whole team and managing both drivers, maybe picking the other teammate's strategy. That would be quite good, because I just would never pick soft for the start of this race. And right now, Button's not really showing too much great performance on that soft, I can't lie. So maybe the soft tyre won't be the silver bullet I'm hoping it will be at the end of the race, because at the moment, this medium seems to be really, really solid, as we again find some good pace into the hairpin. Very, very sketchy soft though, with Al Bono neck and neck, side by side through this entire complex of corners. And again, like with the Bearman fight in Australia, I was convinced I had that overtake done, planted the power, and to my surprise, Albon's come right back around the outside, and now Bearman's on the inside, nearly 3 wide into 130R. Unbelievable. Where did the Haas come from? That is awesome to see. Albon kept in the fight, Bearman joined in and made it 3 wide momentarily. That is what we are missing all game long in F1 24. AI committing, going for moves, staying with it with the fight. That's brilliant, and thankfully we actually managed to finish off the move on Albon as we just about threaded through on the inside, and now lining up Esteban Ocon. We're up to P13, so making good progress on the medium, and of course Ocon, he's on hards, Lawson softs ahead. So the soft tyre will be wearing, and the hard is just not up to pace yet. So we make quick work of Ocon, also I think, on the inside, because we've made the overtake, but now Ocon's got a really good run and will come back at us. We've got DRS, but so does he, because I think he handed off Lawson. So the Haas on the inside. Look at Albon having a little sniff, but we go very aggressive, swoop through back to the racing line to cover off Albon and finish the move on Ocon. But Ocon had a real good run for the re-overtake. But yeah, the medium clearly is the better race tyre at this moment in time. The hard, it's still rubbering in, and the medium's still quicker than it, and the soft is now wearing out, because we will try and catch up to Lawson. So I think we've chosen very wisely on the medium, but I'm concerned then. It seems like the hard is taking a while to give the performance, so I don't want to go to that. But equally, based off, well, the soft tyre runners we're overtaking or catching, and onto Button, maybe the soft is also it's just wearing out a bit too much here around Suzuka. So I don't know what the end of the race is going to look like, but for now I'm happy to be in the medium, let's say. But meanwhile, the sharp end, it's still Verstappen from Norris, Sonoda in third, Leclerc with the 2 Ferraris sandwiching Oscar Piastri. Russell ahead of Gasly is on lap 6. This was a replay of an engine failure for Lance Stroll, parking it up on the right-hand side, kind of out of the way, so there's no kind of virtual safety car or safety car or anything like that. And so he is out, unfortunately, today. Alonso flying the solo flag for Aston Martin in P9 at the moment, ahead of Kimi Antonelli, as there's moves going on between Ocon and Albon now. Lap 7, Albon getting past Ocon. So that hard tyre really isn't working yet, because Albon on mediums as well, I'm pretty sure, gets past. And, well, Button, P19, not making much progress at all, is he? He's got Doohan ahead of him. Hajar as well. Hajar looks quite slow, and he's holding up Doohan, but Button just can't make an inroad on him. 89 rated Button, can't make an inroad. Frustrating to watch from my side. Oh my God! It's a massive crash for George Russell, and it's our first ever safety car of the series and the game. What on earth has happened there, though? George Russell, we just cut on live to him midway through the crash, hitting the wall. What has happened? Is someone else involved? I'm not too sure at the moment, but now this changes things in terms of anyone on the hard compound. They're going to be so pissed off, because this safety car is so badly timed for them for the medium runners of us, soft tire runners, this safety car works out. Any people on hards, they're going to now have a very difficult time. But this is a replay. So Russell, whoa! Russell just gets a tank slapper. And it's a magnificent AI mistake. That's the best way to describe it, because I have never seen an AI have such a glorious crash like that. Just off a throttle, tire wear issue. And there's a big puff of smoke. Oh, and a big thump on the wall, Russell broke his wheel, he broke his front wing, Gasly got a front row view. That is extraordinary. That's great to see again. I mean, obviously not for Russell's sake, as he's now started the season with 2 DNFs, 1 engine failure in Australia, and then this one was a crash. But that was a pretty spectacular AI mistake right into the wall. And so an early safety car. We come in now for a... Oh, no. Oh my God, no. There was a mistake on the pit stop. Oh, this is painful. This is painful. There was a mistake on the pit stop. I've also been held up by Aston because they were double stacking. It's that usual double stack issue where all the double stacks hold each other up. So that's massively screwed over Button, and we've also lost out because we've been overtaken in the pits by Hulkenberg, Albon. We're down to P14 from what was it, P12? And Button now, I think, is in P20, I believe. Oh, that's a bit frustrating, but it all started with the pit stop issue on the front right. If that hadn't happened, maybe we would have got out all fine ahead of Hulkenberg, ahead of Albon. It is what it is now. We have to put it behind us. We're a new team, so mistakes are going to happen like that. And we prepare ourselves for a safety car restart. Now, I want to point this out. I don't know if they've changed it slightly, like the way the AI act under a safety car restart, but... Or maybe I just wasn't concentrating, but I got completely caught napping. Like, I fully was nowhere near Hulkenberg's rear end. To be fair, Hajar behind me has also been caught napping because he's nowhere near my rear end. But look at the amount of time I've lost to Hulkenberg. One of my worst safety car restarts ever. I just fully got so clocked out. I don't know whether it was... I think I just wasn't fully engaged with my brain on the restart, but I also feel like the AI didn't bunch themselves up as much as they would have done on previous games. I don't know. Let me know if you've had any experience with that with the safety car. But anyway, we're going to have to just get our head down now. At least this gives us some clean air to heat up the mediums and get into a groove, because we'll then get on to immediately sending it on Hulkenberg, lock up from the Williams for good measure, and so that's going to maybe put us on to the back of Albon. He's on the hards, Ocon's on hards, so we know from the first stint those tyres are rubbish. So I feel like it is in our realm of possibility to overtake Albon and Ocon here. We go through on the left-hand side, having to give a little bit of room to Albon. It's really awkward, this chicane, because then we lose the back end a bit, and Albon is right back on us there. He's actually already side by side with us with the proximity arrow, and the Sauber behind is also having a look. So once again, it's nearly 3 wide as the AI behind me has a look. Whilst I'm defending another rival of ours as we get up into P12, though. We finish off that move. Very much deja vu from the battle we had with Ocon. Meanwhile, at the sharp end, look at this. Lando Norris and McLaren, they've jumped back into first in the safety car period, the pit stops. They must have jumped Red Bull in the pit lane. So big stuff for the race lead, potentially. Lando Norris leads once again in this Japanese Grand Prix. Verstappen, I'm sure, will be right on him as we now go back to our POV, lap 11 on to 12, catching up to Ocon, this time not going for the massive battery use into 130R and out of it. Instead, I wanted to see if I can get the move done into turn 1, because it would negate the whole fight back from Ocon on this very straight. So instead, we just power through. We stay on the racing line because that's the place to be for the overtake, because that actually allows you to defend if you just stay on the racing line, and we make swift work of him up to P11 as expected, because those hards just aren't working very well at all, really, for any of the midfield guys. Maybe for the top cars it might do. And speaking of the top guys, Lando leading. Verstappen fakes to the left, goes to the right, and he makes it look easy, Verstappen does, into first place for the second time in this race. Pulls Lando's pants down into first place here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Leclerc still in a Ferrari sandwich, so again, McLaren not making the most of their technical performance on paper in the R&D chart as... oh, it's a long day in the office for JB, man. P20, what a fall from grace from the first race. P20 behind Bortoletto, although to be fair, remember, he got screwed over with the pit stop issue that we had. So here's hoping he can maybe come back as there's another yellow flag for maybe a car having an issue on the mini-map I can see. Meanwhile, we're focused on Liam Lawson in the V-carb, down the inside, easing it in, get the elbow out and try to squeeze him out. And this time, we are going to try and fully get this move done. But again, I did the maximum I thought I could do of squeezing out Lawson. And again, I'm surprised. I'm so taken aback by the AI on this year's game. Genuinely seem to be able to hack it around the outside. A lot more than they ever did as we now go from the left to right to get down the inside of Lawson and book in the move this way. A little bit aggressive on the exit to really push away. Plenty of battery use and DRS aid to thump away from Lawson, and we actually gain a few more positions because some people have made a pit stop now for their second stop of the afternoon. So we're up into P8, now catching up to Pierre Gasly, who, by the way, Gasly has been running comfortably in the top 10 this entire race. Very impressive considering Doohan has been way down in like P19 the entire time. So Gasly really outperforming the Alpine, but we're going to catch up to Pierre because those hards, of course, still just not working very well compared to these mediums. Even with the tyre wear, these mediums feel better and clearly are better than the hard tyres. But eventually it is going to be time to think about our second pit stop of the day. We come in on the next lap, lap 18, and thankfully I did because Button came in on the previous lap, so we timed that well. We're now in for the set of soft tyres, and I'm hoping these will work pretty well. It's a so-so pit stop, and we just managed to get our way through the RB. Leclerc with the fastest lap on medium, so a lot of pace being found on this last stint. Quite a few people, it would seem, on the softs then at the end of this race, or coming off the soft tyres, I don't know. As we're out in P13, Hamilton 3 seconds up the road. So clearly there are still some people yet to make their last pit stop, because Hamilton was running like, was it, P6? So I think he's very much still, we've still got a lot of people to pit as we now watch JB make quick work of Hajar. He's up to P18 with that overtake, and now lap 21. We're getting past 2 people in the pits, 3 people in the pits, Gasly included. So we've undercut Gasly, but Gasly also comes onto a set of softs, and he's going to have even more of a delta time pace on the softs, having delayed his pit stop by 3 whole laps. And with that, he flies past. I don't even fight that much because it's clear that Alpine in the hands of Gasly today is actually unreal. Like I said, he's been in the top 10 the entire race, so I felt like there was no point fighting him that much. He's not in our race. I would like him to be, but he's not in our race, and he's showing why, because he's flying at the moment on those softs, 3-lap newer soft tyres. Button is now up to P15, so he's gained quite nicely in the pit stop phase because, to my surprise, Alonso, Antonelli, way down the order. What's happened to them? They were running in the top 10 in the first stint, but now Antonelli P19, Alonso P17. It's a day to forget for the Silver Arrows. And at the moment, Gasly has already gapped us by 1.5 seconds. So, yeah, he really wasn't our fight today. But Hulkenberg, Ocon, Albon, they might be cars we can fight, especially Hulkenberg. You know, the Kick Sauber's the very next team in the R&D chart, and we're running in the points right now, P8, so I don't want to speak too early, but could we be on for our first points? We were denied them in Australia in the first episode of this entire series as we watch Ocon overtake Hulkenberg. Now, he is a car we need to worry about. Ocon could definitely just comfortably overtake us, so we need to watch out for that and maybe go a lot more defensive with him, as at the sharp end, Leclerc Leclerc overtaking Norris on the softs, Leclerc on the mediums. So maybe the McLaren is really struggling with tyre wear because Verstappen is nearly 6 seconds ahead of Leclerc on the softs as well. So that is very peculiar from McLaren. Unlike in real life, some really horrible tyre wear maybe for them. As we focus back on our fight with Ocon, and here he comes on the inside. No DRS, but he's still got the pace to make us wince a little bit, having to go wide through 130R. Meanwhile, a side-by-side behind between Hulkenberg and Albon. So the Sauber is falling down the order. The Williams and Haas are coming good, and Ocon is going to be gunning for us with DRS open now on the right. We give him a good old squeeze, but he's fully past us. We go back to the racing line, cut in, try and get it back down the inside and wrestle the car through, but we dip a tyre on the curb in the grass. And annoyingly, that's the move done. The Haas has got us, and we can't be too annoyed because the reality is we got into a track position because of our strategy and some good pace on the medium, but these cars are quicker on paper, and the soft just isn't that good. I've had no pace on the soft. My fastest lap of this Grand Prix was on the medium. That just tells you how bad the softs have been for us and for some cars in this race. So it's just how it sometimes go. But now we're focusing back on ourselves as we try and maybe secure our first points of the season, nay, of the team's existence. I can't lie, I'm a little bit sad that we've not been driving as Jenson Button to get the team's first points. But in reality, you know, down the line, you know, in Season 2, Season 3, we'll get our first ever win for aarava Archer Racing on this game. And then I'm hoping we'll be driving as Jenson Button. So there'll be a bigger accolade and memory to come driving as JB for this team. And, you know, a lot of the times you forget about the junior driver you sign at the very start of my team. So maybe in another sense, it's kind of nice for the F3 driver, Tim Tramnitz, to get a bit of the spotlight today as we try and secure this team's first ever points driving as him. But elsewhere, Max Verstappen crosses the line on the softs for a second win of this season. Unlike in real life, he is wrestling that Red Bull to lofty heights once again, like in 2024. As on the last lap here, we're looking in the mirrors. We use all the battery in the world to stay ahead of Albon. And even with that, through the final corner, oh my God, bloody Nora, it's going to be a photo finish. Oh my days. Did we keep that position? Oh, thank God we did. Oh my word, we kept it. P9 is ours. It's not only one championship point, it's two of them in the Japanese Grand Prix.
And it's always good, Crofty, to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
It's a big second win in a row for Verstappen. And right now, big question marks to McLaren. Where is that pace? Because on paper in this game, they are the best team on the grid. Like in real life, you know, but Verstappen is doing an unreal job as an AI driver to be securing a second win of the season. But the focus for us is on those points, 2 points to be exact. And obviously it's so early days in the season, but it's really great to get off the mark because, you know, points aren't guaranteed, let's say, at the next race. So we take it as we get them, and it's a really solid one. Obviously, really great work on the mediums, the soft not so much, but a good bit of learning as well done for the team. Guys, if you have enjoyed this one, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.